Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is our Tuesday night live edition here on Crime Talk, affectionately known as After Dark. We are here to take your questions, hopefully talk about interesting things and people that will keep you intrigued, and, oh, by the way, probably talk a little bit about true crime along the way. For those of you who maybe not joined us, said, hey, what's going on live tonight? Let me check it out. What is this Crime Talk with Scott Reich thing? Well, for those of you who aren't familiar, I am a practicing criminal defense attorney. Started my 27th year, which makes me feel a little old because I can remember, seems like yesterday, I was the new kid on the block, and now I'm that old guy that seems to walk into the courtroom. And although it's only Tuesday, man, it already seems like a long, long week. I just came from a jail visit that unfortunately took an hour drive each way. And, what can you say? It's just been one of those days. It's been one of those weeks where I thought I was going to be in trial, but they, being the prosecutors, dismissed the case. At about 5:05 p.m., they filed their motion, but of course I still had to be there in court today, and it was dismissed, which is good. Don't get me wrong, which opened up my day to go see, clients that are charged with various things that are in custody that frankly have been a little tough to do. We've had some snow, we've had some of this, we've had that. It's just been busy. All right, so this is Tuesday night show After Dark. It's your show. I will try to answer each and every question that you all put out there, assuming I see it. So what does that mean? I have right here, right before me, I have a monitor that has the chat. I will do my best to answer questions that come up in the chat. And obviously we appreciate everything that everybody does. We appreciate here. And let's not forget the mods. We have some of the best moderators in the entire internet universe. So thank you, all our mods tonight, specifically Jen Lowe, who is always there doing a great job. Be nice to the mods. They're doing their best. Don't give them any grief, okay? And although we're not asking for them, we're certainly not begging for them. I have seen some shows that beg for super chats. We are not, but we are. I will note that if you do the super chat, I get a big notification. It tells me that on the screen, so increases the chances exponentially that you will have your question answered. And I see Crime Curious received your Crime Talk t-shirt on Valentine's Day. I hope you like it. We have some stuff. We're coming out with some new stuff real soon. And I'm looking over here at Julie, and I'm looking over here at Frank, who are both telling me, yes, we're good to go. New stuff. Okay, apparently there's some stuff that has to go up on the website. But once we have done that, but I think the person that did the website sent us something, so maybe we can get in touch with her and she can give us anyway, some new stuff should be coming out shortly, but you can still get the other stuff as well. You just always got to try, new stuff, see what people love. Not that I'm going to quit my day job if we sell a little merch, but it's fun, and we want to see what is going to be the good stuff. So apparently we're supposed to go to this Crime Con, and it's in April, end of April in Las Vegas. So who doesn't want to go to Vegas in April? And you'll be able to see Scott there, right? Apparently we're going to have a little booth set up. We tried to do some other things, but apparently it was all taken, sponsorship stuff, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's our first time. We're going to go check it out, see what works, see what's there. But we're going to bring merch. So if you're going to Las Vegas, you should come check it out. Okay? Let's take a look here. See, it's some of the questions. We'll get right into it. Now, don't forget, we put up our daily docket show today because I was probably a little behind because I think last week we got a little behind because of scheduling issues. I wasn't able to do a Monday. So I think we're pretty much back on track. And the trial, not only that was supposed to go this week, got dismissed. The one next week resolved. So it just made my life a little bit easier. Not anything that won't be completely filled up. My life will get completely filled up one way or the other. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I run away to an exotic location. That wouldn't be bad. Maybe for a couple of days since something opened up. Or I don't, and we just stay here and I work. But we'll have to see. But either way, we're all caught up. Let's see here. Yes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Hey, share it with your friends. We are this close to, I think, 205,000 subscribers. So can we just get a couple hundred, I think like 100 and something subscribers tonight? That'd be great. Share it to your friends. 205, okay? And I assure you, we appreciate 205,000 subscribers, because we appreciate you all being here, because none of this would happen without you. And we really try to make sure that we bring you, interesting, informative, sometimes funny videos throughout the week. And we know that, you have lots of choices. So the fact that you came here to watch us, we do appreciate that. So, couple of things. First one, Julie R. here. Wasn't it off that a right-handed man shoots himself in the left side of his head? Referring to the Brian Laundrie matter. The autopsy report on the Brian Laundrie matter came out today, and they gave some pretty detailed, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty detailed descriptions in the autopsy today, which is always good. I mean, I really think that stuff should be public information. This is a free country, right? We talk about, America's home of the free, land of the brave, all that kind of good stuff. But then we get so wrapped up in certain things that, I don't know. I just think something like this should be, in fact, released. I mean, yeah, we don't need to see the photos, although they obviously exist. I think that's maybe a little bit, but the summary of what took place, I think, a high publicity case, people should be allowed to see what takes place. I think it's also good, just like when the cameras are in the courtroom, that's a good thing, because people can see how the system works, and it gives people trust that the system is in fact working, if they can actually see it, not just, this is what we say, take our word for it. And if you don't believe us what we say, how dare you question anything? You're going to be canceled. Okay. People need to see this stuff. There was some intrigue. There were theories out there of different things that people talked about with Brian, Laundrie. Why did they miss him? Why was he out there in the woods? Obviously the buzzards got him, so to speak, or the coyotes and things like that. So yeah, it should be explained by the people, and it should be questioned. Just about everything in life should be questioned. Not just about everything. Well, almost everything, right? I mean, unless you know exactly. And always remember, never forget. There is a difference between belief and knowledge, actually knowing something, okay? There's a difference between that. And a lot of people believe what they think took place, or they believe something, but it's different than actually knowing it or having personal knowledge of it. That's why I think a lot of people sometimes, when it comes to theories about cases, okay, I understand you believe it, but what evidence do you have to say that actually you know it and it happened that way? But, is it possible for a left-handed or right-handed person to shoot the gun with the left hand? Sure, it's possible. I mean, not that I'm looking to do anything, but I would think if I was going to do something like that, I'd probably use my dominant hand, to make sure I get that good squeeze, right? But you never know. You never know what people are thinking when they're going to do that particular deed, so to speak. So yeah, I don't know. Good afternoon. Taylor wants to know, good afternoon. Do you think 43 is a little too old to pursue anything in the law? Attorney, perhaps, have an associate's in psychology and a BA in human services. No, not too old at all. My advice is in life, and I've told this to my children, and I tell this to even my employees, never stop learning, right? Always try to be up there with the new stuff that's coming out so you can be familiar with it. You never know where that knowledge may lead you. 43 is not that old, okay? 50 is the new 40, right? 50's, I mean, law school full-time is 3 years. Some places have part-time where you can go at a 4-year pace, usually like an evening division or something along those lines. Go do it. I remember I took a lot of my classes in the evening because I was working full-time in law school. And I'm telling you, the older students that had a little bit life experience, frankly, were much better students because they had that practical experience when it came to, oh, here's a contract, here's this. They just had that life experience, okay? And, I get it. There's lots of people that go to law school at a young age and they can figure things out, what have you. But, when you're 21, 22 going to law school, you really haven't done much. You haven't really experienced anything in life. And it just makes more sense to you when you have a little bit of life experience. And, even if you're signing a simple contract, you're signing a lease, okay? Just because you've been through that a little bit once or twice, it makes sense. Where you'd be surprised. I mean, you'd be surprised. Like I said, I took most of my classes in the evening where most people work during the day. They were going back because they were older students, a second career. So they worked, but they had that practical life experience. And they were, a lot farther ahead than I'd say the day students, so to speak. The day students had a lot of people that were like, this is what I'm doing. I've always wanted to be a lawyer since the 6th grade. This is it. And I have no job. I have no work experience. I've done nothing but study all my life. Or, yeah, I'm pretty smart. My dad told me don't come home unless I have a graduate degree. So I went to law school because although my whole family is a bunch of doctors, I'm not that good at math. So I came to be a lawyer. And they're just kind of biding time. Okay. So Taylor, if you're 43, go to law school. You can do a lot with it. But as I tell everybody that goes to law school or thinks they want to go to law school, it's a lot of money, okay? It's a lot of money to go to law school. So think to yourself, what do you want to do with it, okay? And here's my other little tidbit of advice. Generally, nobody cares where you go to law school, okay? If you go to a state school or a private school, nobody cares. Nobody. I cannot think of a single instant, whether it was another attorney recommending me or a client hiring me, never has a client or potential client ever asked where I went to law school. Nobody cares, okay? Now, there's always going to be the people like, oh, I went to Harvard and I went to Yale. And, there's always going to be that particular group of people. The old classic joke. How do you know you went to an Ivy League school in the first 5 minutes of meeting somebody? They'll tell you, right? But for the most part, they don't. And some of the nicest people I know would never tell you where they went to school. It doesn't matter, okay? And I could think of one person off the top of my head, most humble person you'd ever know, super crazy smart, went to Harvard, very, very humble, never mentioned it on his own. It's just, but most of them are like, oh, let me tell you where I went to school. Let me tell you what. Nobody cares, okay? So if you're going to go to law school, particularly a little older age of 43, go to a state school. It's going to be probably a third of the cost of a private school. And you're going to get the same education. And guess what? You all get to take the same bar exam at the end of the day. And then ask yourself, what do I want to do with it? Okay? Do I want to go change the world? Do I want to go, do you want to make $1 bazillion? Or do you not want to do anything with it other than, whatever? But just remember, you're going to have to pay for it. And do you want to be 70 years old paying off student loans? Probably not. Let's see here. Let's go off some questions. See, sometimes you touch the screen and it fast forwards everything. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. SCHMECONOMICS. Shemmeconomics. Thank you for that super chat. Rolling around. Hopefully you're not laughing at me in that little thing. It's a little person rolling around. That's popcorn murder case. Let's see here. Let's see. I want to make sure. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Mari Stark, super chat there. Thank you, Scott. Samantha Redden. Jen Lowe hates being on camera. But did the Laundries aid and abet? Can they be charged? They're not going to be charged with anything. The parents are not going to be charged. Ruth says her husband is right-handed with everything except when he fires guns. He shoots with his left. Feels more natural. Yeah, I wouldn't really care. And, let's face it. I think somebody that's going to do what Brian Laundrie did to himself, the last thing he was thinking about was, ooh, am I going to get a good grip with better grip with my right hand or my left hand? I mean, I think I'd want to have a good grip, so I make sure if I'm going to do it, it's going to be like, solid. Let's see here. Nandy wants to know. Jeez, what the hell? I'm sorry. I'm turning off. Now I'm turning off my phone because people are calling. Let me just take this. Okay. All right. Nandy wants to know, do guilty people tell their defense lawyers the truth and then you twist it to reasonable doubt and get them off? Well, Nandy, we've talked about this before, but this is always a very good subject. The question then becomes, what do you do if the client says, I did it? Okay, fine. Sometimes people can say I did it, but they were justified under the law. So you can say, well, let's just use an example, a good old-fashioned homicide case. I did it, but it was in self-defense. It's affirmative defense. You betcha I did it all day long, but I was excused under the law. That's not twisting reasonable doubt. That's for the juries to decide whether it was a legal defense that was had to be disproved beyond a reasonable doubt by the district attorney. Okay? So I don't see that as an issue. Then the next thing comes, another circumstance comes where somebody says, yeah, I did it, and you look at it and say, well, you're charged with A, but you really didn't do A. It's more closer to B. And so that's not twisting anything. That's saying he's overcharged. So these are the facts that would support it. If you're going to find him guilty of B. Then you have another situation where they come to you and the DA says there's going to be no trial. Your client is the most evil worst human being ever to walk this earth. The only thing he's going to get is a GORT, which is plead guilty to the most serious charge or trial. Get it? GORT, G-O-R-T, guilty or trial. Okay. And you say, fine. You don't want to be reasonable? Let's be unreasonable. I can be unreasonable all day long because all I got to do is sit over there and I'm going to object. And then I'm going to get up and I'm going to raise reasonable doubt because I'm going to pick through your evidence and I'm going to tear your witnesses apart on cross-examination, and I'm going to challenge your case, and I'm going to get up and say my client is not guilty because the prosecutor has failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So when a defense attorney raises reasonable doubt, they are doing their job required under the Constitution, okay? It's not twisting the facts to create reasonable doubt. Every time a defendant walks out of a courtroom with a not guilty, there's only one person that you should blame, and that is a prosecutor, because they have failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense attorney did his job. He poked holes, And guess what? 12 good citizens in that community said, Mr. Prosecutor, you failed. You failed. So it's not twisting to get reasonable doubt. You think somebody walks out of a courtroom, which happens every day in just about every jurisdiction across this great United States? That's right. That's the system working. Our system is built upon the fundamental principle that it is better to let one guilty person go free. I'm sorry. It's built upon the fundamental principle that it's better to let 10 guilty people go free than to convict one innocent person. But if the result at a jury trial is not guilty, who has failed? The defense never has to do anything. The defense can sit there all day long, not ask a single question of any witness, doesn't have to call any witnesses. And I have done this and got up and said, reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen. The prosecution has failed to prove their case, and the jury has agreed. So that's not the defense twisting things to create reasonable doubt. Great question, Nandi. But if the prosecution fails with the not guilty, they fail, not the defense. So there you go. Just so we're clear about that, ladies and gentlemen. And a defense attorney has an obligation. They cannot put on perjured testimony. Bottom line. Okay? Bottom line. They're not going to put a client up that has confessed to them and said, I did it. Okay? Then you have to look and say, well, is there an affirmative defense? That's permissible under the law. And you can get up and argue the reasonable inferences drawn from the evidence or the lack thereof. And like I said, you don't like a not guilty verdict? Go blame the prosecutor. That's what you need to do. Good question, Michelle. Michelle. Why would a person be tried in both state and federal court for the same offense? Well, it usually doesn't happen, okay? What's the best? Well, the example, obviously, right now, as you see, is the Floyd case, the 2.0, right? Well, they haven't been tried in state. Well, let's talk about the better example would be Derek Chauvin. The better example would be the defendants, the McMichaels in the Arbery matter. They've been tried for the murder in state court, and then they get in federal court. And it's really not the same crime because normally, the feds or the state kind of decide what they're going to do. When it's a big high-profile case like this, I mean, you never, ever see cases of violations of somebody's civil rights prosecuted by the prosecution in cases unless it's some high-profile case. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I cannot recall of a single time where somebody has been tried in a state case and then they turn around and file a criminal case for them in federal court. It doesn't happen. It's political. It's political, but they're separate offenses. They have separate elements. It's not the same thing. Yes, the underlying elements, but like I said, the Ahmaud Arbery, the McMichaels are been tried and convicted in state court of the homicide as it relates to Mr. Arbery. They're being prosecuted in federal court for violating his civil rights, basically saying that they did something based upon his race, his ethnicity. So that's where that is. So so they're not really being tried for the same offense. Maybe the same underlying facts, different charge, different elements. Normally, say, for example, you have a gun charge. Somebody is a prohibited person, i.e. a felon. They get charged with a gun. Normally, the feds take a look at it and they're like, hey, if that is a clean, easy case, nice wrapped up with a pretty bow on top, we'll take it. Oh, we got a confession, we got DNA, the feds will take it. If it's a crappy case, 4 people in a car, no DNA, sitting there, nobody's touching it, the state will usually take that. But the feds get first crack at it. And normally, if it is like I said, a slam dunk, nice wrapped up, pretty bow, the feds take it. Although I think I've won my last 2 federal firearms cases. So just saying, they can still be won. All right, let me roll on here. I think I saw another super chat. Schmomics. I don't know how to pronounce Schmomics. SCHMEM. Thank you very much. Let's see. You guys going to be... Let's see here. Any good questions y'all seeing tonight here? My nephew is left-handed, but shoots right. Yeah, I mean, and there's people that are ambidextrous. They don't know. Maybe he's ambidextrous. Jody, Scott, can you explain why the popcorn killer Reese's trial has been delayed for 8 years, and the face that on 2014-2016 the defense on Stand Your Ground was disqualified by 2 separate judges? I apologize. I'm not familiar with that particular case. The popcorn killer case? I'm not sure. Okie dokie. I'm going to live to be 120, so I moved middle age up to 60. There you go. The defense opening was awful, but it's going to get better now. His crosses have been good. Okay, I'm not sure. Let's see here. Samantha wants to know why his parents got off. They didn't do anything non-cooperative. You don't have to cooperate with the authorities, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to cooperate with the authorities. You don't. You don't have no... Like I said, this is where people get jammed up all the time, okay? There's a difference between morality and legality, okay? People get that all confused all the time. Oh my gosh, they should have done this, they should have done that. The people that do the moral thing get screwed in the law. People that do the legal thing usually come out first in the legal arena. I know people don't like hearing that, but I'm here to tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't really matter, okay? I'm just here to tell you the truth, okay? Several situations that I can give an example of, okay? Normally, the young kid, suburbia, parents would do anything for the kid. He's going to college. I mean, he's gone the right track. They got everything. They got the country club membership, what have you. They've raised their son to do the right thing, what have you. So let's say he gets in a little trouble. I don't know. Maybe a little trespass or something. And, he's like, well, my parents have always told me to cooperate with the police and people in position of authority. I should tell them what I have done. And the kid basically confesses. And it's a lock solid case because the kid confessed, and the DA is like, wow, I gotta get trials under my belt or I'm not going to get promoted. This looks like a good case that he should, plead guilty or go to trial. But he's a good kid. He made a mistake. Cut him some slack. Good family, blah, blah, blah. Nope. He needs to plead guilty. He's screwed. Case is lock solid. Then maybe you get a kid from maybe a little more sophisticated, street savvy as it comes to the authorities. Maybe the police have had contact with the family over the years. Say something along those lines. Kid gets accused of something. He's like, I'm not saying anything. DA looks at it, is like, man, this case sucks. I can't prove this. Case dismissed. Okay? Morally, little Johnny suburban kid screwed himself by doing morally what's right, professing what he did, telling the police, cooperating with authority, right? Then you have the little more street savvy youngster, and he's like, I'm not saying a word. Legally, he did everything right. Morally, that kid, he's so bad. Well, guess what? That kid doesn't have something on his record right now. That kid's probably going to be able to go to college, not have to report. Like little old Johnny over there, he got a conviction when he was a juvenile or super young. So that's what people get hung up on. And they just like, how come people won't confess? Why are they making them go through? There's a difference, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I have tried to explain. You may not like it, but hopefully you come to our channel for the truth, Not what you want to hear. There's lots of people that'll tell you whatever you want. I'm just telling you this is the way it is. Matthew Reed. Hey, Scott, you skipped me. Sorry, Matt. Another super chat. Please give me a 60-second opinion on Brendan Dassey. Why is that name drawing a blank? Was that the slow kid? Okay, Brendan Dassey is American victim murder. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wisconsin. Yeah, he was age of 16, confessed to being part of the first-degree murder, mutilation, corpse, second-degree assault. He was sentenced to life in prison. I've watched Making of a Murder, but it's been a couple of years now. I mean, it's really good. Was there some issues in the case? Yes. Do I think the kid, he was a little slow, I think, as I remember. I think the uncle kind of
forced a confession out.
Yeah, there's issue with the whole forced confession stuff. I don't know if the kid gets a new trial. You hate to see young kids go to prison for the rest of their life, but I mean, there's sometimes it's just they get wrapped up in stuff and they gotta. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for them. That case has been litigated, and the producers of Making a Murder did a great job of truly presenting a great case for the defense, and the defense had a lot to work with. Then the prosecutors kind of presented their side of it, but that's gone up to the appellate courts. I mean, up and down. I think one of them went up to the United States Supreme Court, I think, and the Supreme Court declined to hear the case. So it's one of those situations where, I just don't know. I mean, it's just one of those weird cases that, and things come along in the practice of law and criminal defense that just seems a little too weird, but that's just the way it went down. Not everything goes on in life like, an episode from Leave It to Beaver or something. There's weird, nasty, bad stuff that goes on out there in the world. And, maybe that's a little too what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that answers the question. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, the popcorn murder guy. That's the guy that shot the man. Stand your ground. Lawyers on both sides in the Curtis Reeves trial agree it all began with a man who left his phone in the movie theater. Reeves, who's so irked by the white light emanating from Chad Olson's device that he got up to notify the manager at a Tampa area matinee. Olson, 43, eventually threw popcorn at Reeves, authorities say. Then Reeves, a retired police officer, pulled out a handgun and fired it into the man's chest. Prosecutor said this was clearly murder, a violent overreaction to some tossed snacks. But Reeves argued that he was protecting himself and cited Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which famously removed the duty to retreat from a threat if possible. 8 years after the shooting, lawyers gave opening statements in a long-delayed trial that will hinge on whether Reeves can claim self-defense. Reeves' case has stretched on amid appeals, pandemic disruptions, and a battle over the stand your ground as he tests the limits to spread the county. Reeves, who was 71 at the time of shooting, charged with aggravated battery and murder in second degree, unlawful killing. I don't have the Florida Stand Your Ground law right in front of me, which means no duty to retreat. I'm totally fine with no duty to retreat. You, if you feel as though you are in fear of serious death or imminent bodily injury, serious bodily injury, like someone's going to break your bone, crack your skull like a peanut, something along those lines, or ultimately harm you where you could die, then that would be justified. I remember this case when it came out. I frankly had completely forgot about it. But I think it's a little bit of an overreaction, okay? Maybe go get the manager again. He now threw popcorn at me, okay? And just because you're, hey, I get it. The guy's 71 years old. He probably figures, what the hell have I got to lose? Former cop going to prison even at 71. he's going to, yeah, I don't know. I think it's an overreaction. Scott, have you listened to the Mandy Matinee podcast on the Murdock murders on Spotify? You would love it. I think I listened to a couple of them. And I also believe we tried to get Mandy Matinee, right, Julie? Isn't that who we tried to get in contact with? To have her come on and talk about the Murdocks? And that case just fascinates me. And as we noted today, they show the little river walk where the teens are out there standing. They're going on the boat. That's one of my favorite spots there in Beaufort, South Carolina. I love that spot. I know exactly where that location is. The bars that they went to, I know, where they are, where they crashed the boat. It's at Paris Island. I know where they were at. I love the South. I love it. I have a little property down there, a little house, and I love the area. And I keep trying to convince the lovely Miss Kristen, we need to set up a Southern Command down in Beaufort, South Carolina, and, let's go check it out. But, we're working on it. But that case just fascinates me because my experience in South Carolina was that it is a good old boy network, okay? It is still the good old boy network down there. And I truly, truly believe, just like, the guy, the housekeeper, $4.2 million. Are you kidding me? Insurance companies do not fork over that kind of money unless they think that they have even greater exposure, okay? And let me tell you one thing. Insurance companies don't give money away to anyone unless they think, hey, as long as it's going to solve this today, let's just get it on with. But if you look at a personal injury settlement, $4.2 million for wrongful death of a 60-some-year-old woman who has worked her entire life as a housekeeper, first, what do you look at, right? For her family. Well, what is her life worth? And this is going to sound terrible. But this is what they teach you in law school, how to think like a lawyer, okay? You want to think like a lawyer, right? Not that I'm telling anybody to go do this, but if, let's say, you're driving home tonight, and unbeknownst to you, you don't see anybody, you're driving home, and you hear a thunk thunk, and you think, oh my gosh, did I just run something over? And you do the right thing, you get out, you stop, and you look, and you're like, oh my goodness, it is a person underneath my car. It looks as though I have run them over, and they are not breathing, okay? This is like law school exam question type of stuff, okay? Question number 1. Who would you have rather hit? A homeless guy that looks homeless, no earning capacity, and probably nobody cares or loves for him, right? That's the guy you're going to hit. The other guy he looks like a successful business person, maybe has a wedding band on his finger. It means he's married. Maybe you look at his ID, and he's got the nice little children that come out, and inside his breast pocket, he has the patent for the cure for cancer, right? That's the guy you don't want to kill. He has future earning capacity, right? The non-economic damages for the family. He was the emotional support, blah, blah, blah. Usually they're capped, but that's a certain point. But then you have to look at what they make and what they could have earned. And obviously the guy with the patent to cure cancer is going to be much more valuable than the homeless guy. So if you're going to, accidentally run somebody over, you want to hit the homeless guy. Now, that may sound terrible. I get it. They have a life. They have loved ones. But from the legal standpoint, what do we talk about? There's morality and legality. It's just the way it is. That's why people hate lawyers, because they think legally that's who you want to hit. So no disrespect, but the housekeeper, $4.2 million, the fix was in, ladies and gentlemen. There had to be. Insurance companies don't give away $4.2 million to people that are, old, haven't had a great earning capacity in the past, haven't had a huge earning capacity in the future. And, oh yeah, it's really sad that she's passed away. But guess what? She's old. She probably would have lived to the average life expectancy of 70 some odd years old. And this is going to sound terrible, and everyone will probably write and say, oh my God, Scott, you're a horrible human being. But I'm not. I'm just telling you how the law is going to look at it. Her life was not worth $4.2 million under the eyes of the law. There's no way that could have been possible. Okay. Let the Scott, you're a horrible human being. You act like just the lawyer. That's the way it is. But I'm telling you, that's the way the law values it. And we've had cases here where people have been seriously injured. And you're like, man, just give me policy limits at $1 million. The insurance company's like, gee, I don't know. They missed that appointment to the rehab lady for 3 weeks in a row. I guess they must have been fine. And then they're just milking their treatment for the 3 weeks after that. And you're like, you're right. They did take 3 weeks off from physical therapy to take care of their mother who was going through chemotherapy. And the adjuster will say, they've still missed treatment. They must be fine. Okay. You want to talk horrible human beings? Go talk to insurance company adjusters. Horrible, horrible human being. Shaz says, basically, Scott, you must be an idiot. Dassey and Avery case is pure 100% corruption in the county, both 100% innocent. I'm not saying there isn't. I mean, they put a good defense forward, but the thing's been reviewed. I think it's over. I don't see them getting any more relief unless the governor is going to pardon them. Listen, hometowns, small towns, the power is what's the word I'm looking for? Can I say there can be corruption in them? Yes. Is there corruption in big cities? Yes. Is it more likely it could be in a small town? Yeah. Because it's kind of a good old boy network. They look out for everybody. All right, let's go here. Boy, we're just kind of all over the place tonight, aren't we? Let's see here. They put a price on every limb and finger and your head, nothing else. That's true. Particularly like workers' comp case. I don't want to get too, but literally they're like, oh, you lost your finger? That one finger is worth X amount of dollars. This is all we're going to give you. I'm telling you. It's, yeah. Babs Galore says, stay away from Myrtle Beach. I would like to go to the Low Country, and it could be in Georgia as well. Must have airport located nearby so we can get in and out. That's definitely a must. Let's see here. Maybe it's her life and the grief of the family that's worth $4 million. Usually non-economic damages, right? Personal injury case. You're entitled to reimbursement for your medical bills. You're reimbursed for your lost wages and any other out-of-pocket expenses. Pain and suffering. Normally that's capped by statute. In some states, and I'm not going to say I know it is exactly, who knows, $4 million? Can you imagine every time there was a car accident, somebody died, they're going to get $4.2 million? Tell me where that is the rule and not the exception. Okay? But normally non-economic damages are capped in most jurisdictions. You would have to show some sort of malice or just super poor intent to do that, to get $4 million. It just astounds me, okay? And all the other stuff that Murdock was involved in, and now it looks like bankers and other attorneys are involved in all that stuff. It's just a little too convenient for that guy. So, yeah. It's corrupt. Why do I want to move to South Carolina? Oh, I know why. Because I'd want to go down there, enjoy kind of my long weekend place, and mind my own business and not bother anybody. That would be my goal. That would be it. Because it is beautiful. God, it's beautiful down there. Mario Perez, what about, God, I don't like the way it does that. You touch it and like it jumps to the bottom, not where you were. Juan Michelle, people who don't like lawyers have never needed one. When you do need one, they're angels sent from Jesus himself. I agree. Everybody hates you till they need you, and then they want you to go out there and fight. And like, I'm not giving that guy a freaking penny. I'm not going to prison. I didn't do anything wrong. So Ms. Johnson, maybe it is $4 million, but usually that's capped. Tort reform, tort reform. Corky Smorky, that's interesting, Rebecca. I've never thought about it that way. How about that 911 call? They acted like they just couldn't be bothered. I think that was in regards to them. Liberty Mutual, go talk to the workers' comp, insurance companies, horrible, horrible people. What about the offers to buy Murdock's property where wife and son were found? How will that work since his bank accounts are frozen and pending lawsuits? That is going to be tied up in litigation for the foreseeable future. There's going to be so many claims against the property. I think some of them already moved for prejudgment attachment, which basically says nobody's selling this property without court approval, which is clearly the case. There's been notices of lis pendens that have been filed, which is a notice saying, hey, this property is subject to litigation. So it's not going to be resolved. Eventually what they're going to do is they're going to figure out what this big pot of money is worth, okay? All the property, assets, and they're going to look at the liabilities. Who can they pay back? Who's secured creditors? Who's an unsecured creditor? Secured simply means that, is it secured by property? Are they first in line? I think the brother, didn't he get his note paid back and it was some sort of security, something along those lines? So there's going to be arguments, secured creditors take priority. Unsecured creditors are judgment creditors. They come last. And then you got to think, well, okay, then we're going to have bankruptcies, and then people are going to get pennies on the dollar. What's exempt? This thing is going to go on for years and years and years. But basically what they'll probably do is they'll add it up, see what the insurance is going to cover. They'll try to amicably try to see how that they can divvy that up amongst all of the people. But no one's going to be happy. And then you're going to have fights saying, no, I deserve it more than you because the wrongs against me are much worse than anybody else. So it's just the way it is. I thought I saw something where I was sounding like a horrible human being, but a great lawyer. It looked like the numbers just dropped off, but it looks like we're doing okay. They didn't. Workers' comp is correct. Yeah, we don't do workers' comp. Yeah. KT Zier, Z-I-E-R. My son was hit by a drunk driver. It resulted in a rare kidney transplant. Their offer is currently $5,000. That's the way the insurance companies work. You can go to mediation, and everybody can say, okay, there's a $100,000 policy, let's say, just for easy numbers. And you say, hey, we'd like to settle for $75,000. And their offer will be, we'll give you $1,000. By the end of the day, they're at 65. You're like, hey, we'll take the 70, what have you. Insurance companies are the worst, okay? And there's one thing that I will not do, okay, that even I will not represent, and that is an insurance company, okay? Just because we've dealt with them on the plaintiff side, and they're just terrible. Some of the attorneys are very nice. Don't get me wrong. They're doing their job. But the insurance companies, terrible. Gen B, unfortunately, I know a lot about workers' comp laws. I'll be speaking to legislation on behalf of work comp attorneys to push for laws to get changed. Well, good. It's a racket, and the workers' comp and all the IME doctors that, haven't practiced in 25 years. They've had one client, which is the insurance company that says that the person that, got his leg chopped off, he's perfectly fine. He didn't even need that leg. He looked like he wanted to hop on that one leg the entire time. I'm not even sure why he needed a leg. Frankly, the shame is he was even born with that second leg and it was chopped off because his life would have been better without it. That's what those insurance IME doctors are. They are the worst. I can see it now. Jess, our PI attorney in the office, is probably saying, Scott, no, don't say anything. Yeah, they're the worst. Can anyone in the chat explain to me how to join a YouTube channel on the YouTube app? I only have the subscribe button, no join button. I think, Sarah, you just have to sign up, do you not?
in any time. Yeah, there's that. You get a letter. Oh, that's tough.
Okay. All right. Sorry. It's weird when you get a email from the court at 6:52 on a case that's odd. Okay. Can anyone? All right. Cindy, Scott, you are incredibly unbiased, really refreshing. Well, some people don't think that. Other people think that I am. Like I said, I love it. I really do. Because you must be doing something right, saying something right. When people from both sides of the spectrum, so to speak, are upset with you. Whether it's politically or the people that are always pro-prosecution or the people that are always pro-defense. Scott, you're a defense attorney. How can you say that? Yeah, the man, listen, like the defendant, he's going down. He's going down hard, screwed up, terrible case. That's just the way it is. And everybody thinks if you're like a defense attorney, oh, you must be always, rah, rah, rah. Everything's going to be okay. You're constantly evaluating your case for your client, looking at the facts you have, the information you have, what's changed, because facts can change rather quickly. Bottom line, that's it. You always have to be assessing that, and you can't ignore bad facts. You have to be able to address them, and that's just the way it is. Some people think, oh, you're always no, I have these conversations with clients all the time. Like, dude, your case sucks. You need to take the offer. If you don't want to take the offer, we'll go to trial, pay my trial fee, or put enough money in the retainer to cover my trial fee. And, here, sign this. You're proceeding against my advice. So when you lose, you don't come back and say, oh, you never advised me. I'll go do that. I'll go do that all day long. But you have to advise the client, say, man, you got good facts, you got bad facts. Hey, could go either way. That's usually what you have to say. I don't know what's going to happen. A jury could really like the facts for the prosecution. They could like us. Maybe they don't like you. Maybe they think you got beady little eyes. You were sweating. You look nervous. You look guilty. I don't know. There's so many variables when it comes to that. So, and sometimes that probably gets me in trouble. Every now and then, I can't believe you just said that. It was the truth. It was the truth. Did somebody say it's not the truth? I mean, this is what happens in real life. This is it. It's the truth. The problem is so many people are allergic to the truth. And that's just the way it is. They don't want to face the reality of the truth. They want to keep their little blinders on and say, this is what I believe, and nobody that says anything else could possibly be right or have any good opinions. And therefore, if they disagree with me, they need to be canceled. Really? Like, come on. But that's the way people think. That's the way people think. Trish Norman, absolutely. Also, Scott, there's no political BS. You're right. I am an equal opportunity hater for both political parties. I think most political parties, or both political parties, are really nothing more than criminal enterprises that engage in nothing more than the laundering of money to candidates and other people on both sides. Okay, they're both equally as guilty of it. Ms. Johnson, in Colorado, if you were convicted of a marijuana offense before it was legal later, and then when it became legal, did they all get expunged? Yes and no. If it was like municipal court stuff, like possession, like super tiny amounts, I think they just kind of wipe those off. If it's more serious offenses, you may have to go back in and try to seal those. It just depends. You got to contact a lawyer. I don't know all the little nuances of that statute off the top of my head. I've got an attorney here that knows them pretty good, but yeah, the law did change, and they changed a lot of things. Jen B., you want your attorney to tell you the truth. No need to sugarcoat anything when it comes to your life. Yeah, and I've lost clients for that fact over the years. They're like, give me your honest assessment of a case. Like it could go either way. And they're like, well, you're not advocate. I will advocate for you till I am out of breath, but I have an ethical obligation to tell you the good facts, the bad facts, and the unknown and the consequences if you lose, right? So, I just, it's just people, they just think, oh, your defense attorney, you're always, no, you're always evaluating your case, right? There's been cases like, well, they could do this, they could do that. I would do it this way based upon what I know, but if I learn new facts, it's going to change. And I'm telling you, you get new facts and changes all the time. You just never, ever, you can't just assume. It's the old adage. They used to teach this in the Marine Corps. Your battle plan is perfect until the first shot is fired. And that's like it is in a courtroom. Your plan, your great choreography of this great theater that's going to take place is only as good as the first witness, okay? Because they're always going to say something you didn't expect, or they said something just a little differently, maybe it helped you, hurt you, and things change. I literally have had, stacks of cross-examination, and the witness gives you everything. You're like, well, I didn't expect that. Wow, that was going to take like half a day to go through all those clips and play all that stuff, and it didn't happen that way. So you just don't know. It's like life, man. It changes every day. Just when you think you've got it figured out, something happens. Gen B. I hope so, Mari Stark. It may be a while, but I think he might eventually. His parents would make a killing if they turned his journal into a book and sold it. Oh, wouldn't you like to read that? I would. Sure. Oh, Miku, M-I-K-U. I just came to see the antique gun. We'll do it next week. Okay? I literally, from the time we did that video today, I left. I went to the jail, and I literally didn't get back until about 20 minutes before we started today. So didn't have time to bring the gun. Next week, we'll bring the gun, the antique gun. Or maybe I'll try to bring it in and we just do a video about it. Alec Baldwin's story doesn't make sense. Let's just put it that way. Let's see here. MyQ. How would you defend a liar like Helderson? Would you drop the case? No, not unless I wasn't going to get paid. If you have your client, Helderson was the guy that chopped up his parents, right? If I remember correctly. And yeah, he chopped up his parents and he was promptly convicted. If I recall, he did not testify. Regardless of what he did, he's still entitled to a defense. He still has the constitutional right to make the what's the word I'm looking for? To make the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And like I said, it could be so overwhelming, but they're like, plead guilty. It's like, let's go see if we can make some air. Let's go create some air at trial. And you'll be dealing with this case for the next 35 years. So just give me something reasonable, right? Easy way and a hard way. Everybody always picks the hard way, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe that's why some days I was talking to a friend coming back today. Man, we just get so tired of the arguing. The arguing when it doesn't have to be arguing. And it just seems like, and this is just a little conversation we were having, but I think it's the young district attorneys. You walk in and you're like, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. What do you think about this? Well, I really don't think that this case is what it appears to be. Well, I think this is this is the worst case I've ever seen in my life. And, of course, they got like all 6 months experience in county court. Like, okay, if you don't want to take my offer, we're just going to have to go to trial. Okay, I can do that too. And it's just like, why? Why? I think they should put, instead of putting all new district attorneys in county court, we're dealing with basically misdemeanors, they should go observe district court. Get a perspective of what really goes on in the world so that not every DUI case turns out to be some sort of, the worst crime they've ever seen in their life. Just saying. Better do a vid. Can't handle firearms on a live. Are you serious, Mrs. Gun Doctor? Are you serious? Oh, man. That wouldn't surprise me, though.
Yeah.
Just call me economics. It's easier. Now you can talk about prosecutorial inconsistencies. All right, Scott. Scott, would you discuss past true crime events? Kind of like a podcast. Which true crime events? Would you discuss past true crime? I don't know. Which ones would you like me to discuss? I'll talk about just about anything. Scott, have you listened to the podcast In the Red Clay? No, I have not. I've arrived late. What are your thoughts on Andrew? Oh, we didn't really talk about Andrew taking the deal yet, have we? Well, didn't that just, what's the word I'm looking for? One day they're asking for the original photographs. Then it turns out she doesn't have the original photograph. But they settle the case with a statement saying that he regrets his association with that guy named Jeff. And he's going to make a significant donation to the victim, Miss Jeffries' foundation. Isn't that precious? Isn't that nice? But guess what? Andrew figured it out. There's an easy way and there's a hard way. I don't think there was any doubt that, at least I didn't think there was, that he was going to pay some type of money. But man, by the time the news makes it to the public, it's probably 2 to 3 days behind what the attorneys already know. And so there you go. There you go. I think he made a smart choice. The prince did. Now he can get this matter behind him. I'm sure he paid, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I'm sure it was a significant amount. But who knows? Maybe everyone just wanted it over with. That stuff's been going on for years, and now it's over. So that's the beautiful thing. He settled, really doesn't admit any liability whatsoever, and she doesn't have to produce the original photograph. Isn't that convenient for everybody? Sometimes that's what you figure out. Why? Because good attorneys are always assessing and reevaluating their case. Alec Baldwin has lots of money. He can get sued, but it won't hurt him unless a criminal trial happens. Alec Baldwin, I'm sure he's got lots of money. I don't know how much he's worth, but he's probably got a lot. But people with a lot of money, I guarantee you, the one thing they don't like paying for is attorneys. Okay? Because everybody hates paying for attorneys. It is an expense that nobody wants. It's like a car repair that you didn't anticipate. Okay? But it usually costs more and keeps going. It's like having that new car repair bill every month until the matter's resolved. So yeah. And I don't know what they're going to do with Alec Baldwin. I think they're going to, should he be charged? Probably with some sort of criminally negligent, I would think, at a minimum, maybe reckless. Michelle Pohl, hey Scott, I remember you suggesting he pay in the beginning. Yeah, get it over with. Yeah, just make it go away. It's money. I mean, it's not like Prince Andrew earned the money, right? Come on, let's get for real. Yeah, that's right. Julia's telling us he had to sell his ski chalet in Switzerland to come up with money to resolve these matters. Now he can probably get himself a smaller ski chalet. The man is 60-something years old, right? And never worked a real job in his life. And he had to give a few, probably, some millions of dollars away. Who knows the exact amount? I don't want to say for sure. But, let's face it. It's not like he had to work for it. It's not like it was his money that he was giving away. It was a smart move on his part to get it over with and move on. But, come on. Yeah. Letitia. Okay. Been like, okay, I'm guilty, but I'm not. The woman refuses to realize she has nothing left. Well, Lula, she wants to go NGRI now, at least according to her attorneys, which is an affirmative defense, which is saying, I did it. So we're making a little bit of progress there, aren't we now? And what do we know? NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity, doesn't mean you get a free pass. It means you got to go to a state mental hospital. My guess is, and it's an educated guess, but not anything based upon any facts that you all don't know. I do not believe at the end of the day that the outside of the state consultant who says he believes that she's delusional will amount to NGRI, which means she'll also be evaluated by a state doctor. I would think that the defense would have already done the evaluation and filed something asking for leave. The last NGRI I did, that I came on later in the game and said this is an NGRI case, we got the expert on board, then filed to change to NGRI, and everybody said, yeah, he's NGRI. So that's a little odd to me that they did not do it that way and think they're going to possibly get an evaluator who thinks he might conclude that she may be suffering from some sort of psychosis. I think before I would change that plea, I would have that in writing and say, you're willing to put your professional credibility on the line by saying this in court under oath? Because if you are, then I'll go there. But if you're thinking maybe kind of sort of, I could be, but I'm not really sure, I think I'd wait till I have that in writing. But that's just me. I'm a little skeptical of all things in life. I like to have proof. I like to have some corroboration. All right, Elise just shared the live. Thank you. Yeah, if you haven't done so, like, subscribe, share. Let's see. The color purple. He's still a prince. The titles he lost are military titles, and he lost his royal patronage to the military organizations. He's still a duke, which means he'll be living off the public's money of hardworking people so that he can live a lifestyle to which he has become accustomed but probably does not deserve. Just saying. All right. Let's see. What's up with the Remington settlement? Are all gun manufacturers going to be sued for all deaths moving forward? What's your thought? Sorry if I'm late to the party. I was a little surprised when I heard that, and I heard some crazy number like $73 million or something like that. That was the school shooting in Connecticut, I think it was. Sandy Hook, that's right. And so Remington settled for some crazy dollar amount. And my thinking is, why would you settle unless you're saying your firearm did not function the way it was properly supposed to work, like, just went off, right? Why would a firearm manufacturer settle? They have basically immunity from that, basically under federal law. Now, there are guns out there that are not safe. I assure you that, and I can't really go into it, but there's involved in some litigation. But there's some that just go off, and that's not good. But unless Remington's saying their gun just went off, which I doubt they are, I'm surprised they settled. Because if Remington did that, they just opened the floodgates to every time their firearm will have been used in anything. So, a little surprised by that. Surprised the insurance company allowed them to do that. I don't get it. Heather, I hope Letitia ends up somewhere where she at least gets treated like she treated poor little Gannon. He didn't deserve the monster hurting him like that. Well, I think ultimately that, what's the word I'm looking for? I think ultimately Letitia Stout is just simply taking the long, slow road to the Department of Corrections. That's just my humble opinion. Let's see. Crime pays. Please, please, please. Let's see. Crime pays. Laura Jackson. Are you talking about my suit jacket here? I don't know. Can we zoom in on this? I don't know. Where'd this go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Have my little mask. Even though we have no more things, we still have to wear these things in court. I don't know if you can see that. I had this made. Years ago, when I started getting my suits made, where they would put your name, like this jacket belongs to, tailored exclusively for. Yeah, it says crime pays. Always get a crack out of that. Even my suit guy still gets a crack out of that. He goes, "You still want the same thing in there?" Yes, crime pays. Yes, I do. Yeah. So there you go. So Laura Jackson, hope that satisfies your desire to see crime pays. I haven't mentioned that in a while. Samantha Mustard McDowell, what's your opinion on the death penalty? It's up to the states whether they want it. I think states should let the people decide, not necessarily the legislatures on that one. I think for in Colorado, we no longer have the death penalty because the legislature said we're going to take away the death penalty. But I think if it had gone to the vote, I think the people would have kept it. Now, death penalty it's a tricky subject. Morally, legally. Morally, should the state kill people? I don't know. Legally, they can. It's in the Constitution, right? Fifth Amendment. They can take your life, liberty, and your property, right? They can send you to jail. They can take your property as long as they give you due process of law. So it's permitted. It doesn't violate the Eighth Amendment. Cruel and unusual punishment. That's a changing standard. So you have to know. Some people are very death penalty is wrong in all circumstances. Okay. Well, what do you do with a guy that's killed a bunch of people and then kills a bunch more, maybe in prison, kills prison guards? Now you're really going to be in trouble? Now you're really going to spend life without parole in here? I don't know. I had one case, they were going to go death on it. We got them not to go death. That was my job for my client. But I think if you have to be intellectually honest and you have to say, hey, I think the Constitution should be followed the way what the plain meaning of the words mean, and look at the document at the time that it was written, you'd have to say that the death penalty is legally permissible under the law. Whether you like it morally or not is an issue that I think most people have to make up for themselves. But on the legal side, the legislature, the federal government, Congress could pass a law and the president could sign it tomorrow, say there's no federal death penalty. But you notice in those states when something really bad happens and they don't have a state death penalty case, what do? A state death penalty law? What do? They go federal on it because they believe that justice requires that. Like I said, I know people that they'll be like, I don't care how many people you killed, you should never get the death penalty. And, it shouldn't be used in all cases, but I've seen it work where people are like, hey, take death off the table and we'll plead guilty. So it just depends. So I guess my opinion is exists. It's the law, and the law is there if it is or if it isn't, but it needs to be enforced. Some prosecutors are like, I'll never do the death penalty. Okay, well, it's one of the tools in your toolbox there to protect the people. So what are you going to do? Now, it costs a lot of money. It's tied up in, prison for, appeals forever and forever and forever. So you got to look at the costs. Is it really worth that much? I mean, sure, it's going to cost you $30,000 a year for the next 50 years to house somebody, but you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars, probably $50 million in litigation to do it. And more than likely, it'll never happen. Lots of things to be weighed, for sure. Peace out, Lisa. I know you have things to do, but hopefully you'll make it to Patreon. Let's see here. Yes, you can join Patreon. We're going to go to there real quickly. Are you death qualified? Well, Kat, I would meet the requirements in Idaho. I assure you of that. Like I said, I've done a case that was going to go death, and I said, I meet the qualifications. So yeah, we could do that. Will Letitia Stout be eligible for the death penalty if she's found sane due to the date? I don't think they're going to go death on Letitia Stout. I think that time may have already run. There's so many days in which the prosecution has to notify the defense if they're going to do that. I think that time has run. I think at this point, they would just like to move the case forward. But, I think they just want to get it over with at this point. I mean, it's such a bad case for the defense. Delay is probably the best tactic. But at a certain point, the truth will come out. Audrey, thank you for the super chat. Thank you to the Crime Talk family for being here. Joe Frost, in your time, have you ever encountered anyone that has successfully defended themselves for felony level offenses? I'm aware of people that have gone to trial representing themselves on a felony. I'm sure somebody has won, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Okay? It usually turns into a circus when somebody represents themselves, and it's not pretty at all for the defense. Usually the defense is getting screwed when they represent themselves, and the thing is they don't even know it because they don't have a well enough grasp of the law or the rules of evidence. So, all right. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? Here we are, already an hour and 20 minutes. It goes by so fast. Can't believe it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you want to continue the conversation, we'll be jumping over to the Patreon show here in just a few minutes. I'm going to make a phone call regarding something here, and then we'll be right back with you on Patreon. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Let's see if we can get to that 205,000 tonight. That would be great. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.